Welcome to the Clermont County Board of Commissioners meeting this beautiful day in May the 21st, 2025. Prior to officially starting the meeting, we always ask for clergy here and local in Clermont County to come in and lead this board in prayer and those who are in attendance. And this morning is no different. Pastor Jason Bowman is here from Solid Rock Church. Thank you, Pastor, and the podium is yours.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks, Drew, for dressing up for this occasion. You don't mind, bow your heads with me as we pray. Lord, we just thank you for this great nation we're privileged to live in. We thank you for Jesus, who was born to set us free from sin, and we ask that you would, by the power that he gave to us, just cover this nation. We pray for unity because we know that you're a desire, as you prayed in John 17. So break political division and racial tension as you surround us with your love. Lord, you know, in this county and other counties that we have a problem with addiction. And so I pray that you would give our leaders wisdom. As we, as spiritual leaders, pray, we pray for our civil leadership to also understand how to deal with the problems. Thank you that you lead us and guide us. Give wisdom now to Ms. Corcoran, Mr. Painter, and Ms. Batchelor. Help them to be good stewards in financial decisions and this fiscal responsibility. And I thank you, O Lord, that you guide them as they direct taxpayer dollars. In other decisions, I pray that you would help them to have wisdom beyond their years, just like Solomon did. We ask that you would surround them with faithful and creative and hardworking people as they go forward in these elected positions. Most of all, Lord, may we all cling to mercy and truth. As you said in Proverbs 3, that in doing so, you would give us good understanding and favor with you and man. So today, we thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your wisdom. And we ask that your kingdom would come and your will be done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. And now to officially start our meeting, we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And Drew, since I picked on you, I would say thank you. Thank you for respecting the rules of this board, and that even though we provided a little laughter about it, there was no laughter here. Thank you. So would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. Thank you. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a rather long agenda. We have a lot of items on the agenda. We'll go quickly, but we won't go too quick so that we, lose the specific need of the actual meeting. So we've called this meeting to order at 12:30 p.m. And our first order of business is letter B, is approval of regular session minutes of 5/14. 2025. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay.
I'll
have to second those. Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Abstain.
Letter C is presentation. We have Federal Engineering here for Communications Center updates. Jess, thanks for being here. Tell them who you are, and we'll get started.
Very much. I'm Jessica Wiederhole, the Director of the Department of Public Safety Services. I have with me today Tommy Thompson from Federal Engineering and Travis LePage from Federal Engineering as well. They're going to help me out with this presentation to talk about all the upgrades and updates of DPSS. Okay. Again, introductions. Federal Engineering was brought on as a consultant to evaluate Clermont County's public safety network, including the backbone, fiber, and microwave design, as well as integrations to the state of Ohio EZNet and NG911, with the goal to provide Clermont County with a 10-year master plan specifically aimed towards Department of Public Safety. A report was issued by Federal Engineering in January 2025, laying out a strategic plan for us and the recommended upgrades. So just a little bit more of the background. In February 2024, an RFQ was issued. Federal Engineering was then selected in August of 2024 to be the consultant to evaluate the backbone and the radio system, the connections to the state EZNet. October of 24, federal engineering brought a great group of people on site to do site inventory of all 11 tower sites and all the equipment associated with it. They also spent some time in our communications center going over what we currently use, the equipment there as well. And we spent countless amount of time discussing how we operate and what our goals are as a communications center.
Jess, if you would just back up just a second,
Sorry.
just for people who will be viewing this today, could you tell them just quickly what EZNet means and what
Oh, I'm sorry.
NG911?
The State of Ohio EZNet is a network that the State of Ohio 911 office has put together. And I apologize, I don't remember the acronym off the top of my head.
Emergency services.
Internet.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the idea of it is that all 911 PSAPs in the state of Ohio are going to join onto it, making transfers and information in between the departments or the counties much easier, so there's no information lost, no drop calls. And that is also with Next Generation 911. So Next Generation 911 there's a lot to it. Data to 911, text, pictures, videos, voiceover,
Proper location. They need to, and 911 needs to find you.
yes. So updated, won't
Like
be
a tracking. Like a
correct. It
tracking.
won't be based off of triangulations of towers so much anymore, but
You can pin
better GPS.
All right.
Yes. And that way we can ingest all that information and say we get a call that isn't ours. All of that information will go to where it belongs rather than just staying with us because maybe we don't have the same system as them. It'll all go through the EZNet and transfer.
You don't lose
Thank
that important time trying to transfer to.
Correct. And the whole idea of it is that you actually don't get wrong locations, that it's really dividing out the counties and the PSAPs individually to make sure that they're going to the right locations.
Mhm.
Getting
Thank you.
a situational awareness to the first responders out there as soon as you can.
You bet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
And in January of 2025, Federal Engineering issued their final assessment and recommendations report to us. The biggest thing we're going to talk about right now are immediate needs for Clermont County DPSS. The left-hand side is a graph that Federal Engineering put for us. The right-hand side is more detailed about the item, the date it was installed, the estimated action date, and the estimated cost. So anything you see in red is a major action that's needed immediately. That includes our microwave and networking equipment and the facilities, alarm and control systems at the tower sites themselves. So we have found that our microwave system we have two different types of microwaves out there, PTP 800 and PTP 820. The PTP 800s they're no longer supported, and the PTP 820s are on their way out. So it's something that we really need to focus in on getting upgraded right away. The networking equipment kind of correlates with the microwaves. They work side by side. And then the facility alarms and control systems, that's just our alarms
I
that go.
apologize. I've got this unmuted, but it's still, can you guys fix this? It's supposed to be muted. Sorry.
The alarms at the tower sites tell us
I'm in session.
what's going wrong at the site, B&E alarms, generator run alarms, UPS alarms. There's a lot of alarms associated with each tower site.
Yeah, and some of those alarms are mandated, such as lights.
The yellow is moderate action, so things that don't need to be addressed right away, and then green are good to go. We also have to address the antennas and multi-couplers. Those are the little gadgets you see on the very tippy top of the tower sites, and then there's also equipment in the building. Some of those are just really old and are original to the towers. So it's just they have a lifespan of about 20 years,
Yeah,
and it's time to replace them.
they'll degrade over time. They'll get struck by lightning. They'll get affected by movement, and just over time, you'll get worse and worse performance of the rest systems within the area.
The estimated cost back in January for the microwave and backhaul routers for the public safety network. It's about $4.8 million. The antennas and multi-couplers to upgrade those, about $480,000. After federal engineering's final report was sent to us, a microwave link broke. Listed below are the microwave links. I kind of talked about the PTP 820s versus the PTP 800s. So you can see the northern towers the newer towers have the PTP 820s.
Yeah.
More southern towers, the older ones, have the PTP 800. Currently, the Moscow to Campbell County microwave is down. However, the towers were designed for redundancy, so it is not going to.
You better knock.
Yeah, I don't. The PTP 800s, like I said, this end of support was June of 2021, and PTP 820's end of support is August of 2029. To fix the broken link, we are having the PTP 800 upgraded to the PTP 820. However, that's not the solve all for everything. That's just to get us back online so that we don't, if we lose another tower right now, it's not good. We would lose radio communications.
Yeah.
Again, the broken link, it's not an overall fix to upgrade all the links to the PTP 820s because they are end of support in 2029. Excuse me, sorry. The fix for that was $56,679. That was done with an MSA with Motorola. And the estimated completion date was May 15th. However, parts have been back ordered because it is an older part that's been canceled. It's been hard to track down. So we're still hoping. I actually just got notification this morning that additional parts had been shipped. So the project overview for Department of Public Safety. The first one is the microwaves, second antennas, then generators, radio consoles, additional tower site equipment, HVACs, our computer-aided dispatch solutions, and our call handling solutions. Again, microwave procurement, estimate given to us back in January was $4.8 million. This project overall will take approximately 20 months from the time of contract signing to go live. Just more information on the Cambium PTP 800s and 820s being canceled and their end of support. The Extreme Network routers, that's part of the microwave, also the backhaul network. The routers have been canceled, which essentially just works like a Wi-Fi router. Mm-hmm. It's just helping translate everything and all the radio traffic to where it needs to go. Support ended on some of those in 2022, and the other ones are ending this year.
And so just to ask a question, and you'll probably get to it quick, what do we put in? If you can no longer use the 800s and the 820s.
Yeah, the 800s they were out of service in 21.
Right.
The 820s, I mean, you could get away with, putting the 820s in for 800. The problem with that is going to be you're going to go and have the same problem in 5 years.
Okay.
Instead, the better answer is put a public safety grade, microwave in that you've got, 5 nines reliable. It's going to go and stay up 99.999% of the time. And you're going to have a lower mean time between failures. These things fail at 3 in the morning. They don't fail at 2 in the afternoon usually. And even though the thing that was really smart when you designed the system, it was in a ring. So if you sever a connection, it'll go and reroute. But still, if you get a massive storm come through, it could be possible that you could lose 2 links. It's not only equipment failure. You get things like microwave fade. Sometimes you could have a dish go bad. I mean, there's a lot of factors that can come into play.
Okay.
The second project of this would be replacing the antennas. Again, some of the antennas have been on there for a while. We have broken them down to when they would need to be replaced, and then the older ones, of course, are the higher priority. I did receive a quote from Motorola to analyze go up and analyze rather than look at them through binoculars. And that quote was $30,000 for that to be done, just for them to look at them and analyze it when they needed to be upgraded. Third project is generators. We've had some of our generators at the tower sites for a really long time, which is good. We've gotten our money out of them. So currently we're in the midst of replacing 5 generators at Mount Carmel, Shiloh, Moscow, Mount Repose, and Pierce Township towers. Mount Carmel and Shiloh have been successfully installed. Moscow is being done as we speak. Pierce is next, and then Mount Repose. The next one that needs to be replaced is the Grant generator. They recommended we do that this year. It didn't make the cut with the other 5, so we will budget for that as soon as possible. And that is just a quick picture of how big the generators are. They're not just normal house-looking generators. They're look like little vehicle engines.
What's the cost on those?
About 125 total each.
Thank you.
The fourth project would be the dispatch radio consoles. Sorry for the blurry picture, but it's dark in dispatch. Those are our MCC 7500s. That's what our dispatchers use to talk to the units out on the road. They're supported until December 21st to 2028. Then we have to upgrade those to the next radio console. More on the emergency radio communication equipment, our prime site equipment, which is essentially the motherboard, is what you would call it, of the tower sites, has to be replaced, and that's an estimate of $1.5 million. The SDM 3000 is our site alarm equipment. That's an estimate of $350,000. And then on site at dispatch would be our consoles. And then we also have site controllers inside, I believe is where they are. The total of all those is $1.05 million. Support ends in 2028, so we will be budgeting for those in the next coming years. Various equipment within the tower sites would be the next project. As you can see, I've taken some pictures of some of the elaborate equipment that we have. Some of our tower sites have 4 or 5 racks full of different equipment. The biggest ticket item, like I said, is the prime site, which ends support in 2028, so we'll have to have it replaced by then. Tower site alarms. This is what the alarm panel looks like within the tower site. Again, that ends in 2028. And those are essential to help me understand what's going on at the tower sites so that we're not depending on a third-party alarm company to see that all will go through Motorola, Mobilecom, and me. System equipment that we own. Make sure I'm reading this right. The county would be responsible for the following upgrades. Some of it is covered under our Motorola system upgrade agreement. But unfortunately, some of that still falls back on us to make sure we have it up to standard.
Yeah, the thing to know is the Clermont County system is part of Marks. What is a tier 4?
Yes, we're a tier 4 partner.
Yeah, basically you own your equipment. However, Marks shares the cost. They provide a core in Columbus and elsewhere that you could connect to. And, as a result of the membership, they pay for some things, some networking equipment, but there's other things that are on responsibility of the county to go ahead and pay for. And this is it.
6th project would be our HVAC units at the tower sites. There are 2 HVAC units for each site for redundancy reasons. We got to keep those buildings cool because there's so much equipment in there. The only tower site that has more than 2 units is Bauer. With proper maintenance, the expected life cycle is 10 years, and replacements will start in 2027 for those.
Yeah, and what happens is the compressor goes bad, much like your home air conditioning.
And they run constantly, even in the winter time. A picture of our dispatch just to kind of give you an idea of some of the equipment the left-hand side is our radio screen. The 6 screens in the middle are our computer-aided dispatch. And the 2 screens on the right are our call handling solution. That brings us to our 7th project, computer-aided dispatch. We currently use Motorola Premier One CAD. That is provided to us by the state of Ohio MARCS, the multi-agency radio communication system. The intention was years ago that MARCS was going to expand the CAD offering statewide for interoperability purposes, kind of the same idea as what the State 911 office did with the EZNet. Unfortunately, we're still one of 2 departments that are on it. It's just not working out the way it was anticipated to go. Ohio State Patrol, Ohio Department of Natural Resources, and Ohio EPA is on it as well, but we don't really work side by side with them. So our current version of CAD can accept NG911 information from our phone system. However, the issue moving forward for us is being strapped to the contract with MARCS and not being able to expand our technology without asking them for permission. So anytime we want new technology, we have to put in a request with the state of Ohio. They then have to run it through all of their members, and then they approve it or not. Then they give us a quote, how much it would cost for them to do the work for us. And right now we're only limited to 5 interfaces on our CAD, which isn't very many, when we have a lot more technology out there that we could get. 5 is pretty basic. That gets us our medical software, our locution, our phone system, our radios, and our paging. Other than that, we have no other integrations.
And just may I add, CAD is vital to the operations of dispatch. I mean, it'll go and make assignments for patrols that are out there. When somebody calls in, immediately the call taker is entering notes into CAD, and that's going over the dispatcher. And that's the better the CAD is, the faster you can go and make the responder out there aware of the situational awareness that you've got.
One of the things that always confuses the discussion with CAD is when people use that term, people immediately draw to computer-aided design.
Yeah.
And that's
A lot different.
right, a lot different.
Yes.
So, just clarify that for a second for people who are watching today.
So kind of going off of what Tommy said, the computer-aided dispatch is our dispatchers can put the information in from the phone system, brings over their location, their phone number. With the statewide CAD, if you're anywhere in the state of Ohio, we can find it in our CAD. Some other counties and other CAD vendors only offer you what your county is and maybe surrounding. But the computer-aided dispatch, it then essentially assigns the address to the jurisdiction where it belongs. The jurisdictions themselves, police departments and fire departments, will set up what they call run cards to indicate to the dispatchers who they need to send to what address, depending on what type of incident it is, structure fire, a police detail, EMS run. It's all very integrated in the background.
Yeah, what's mentioned up there is, you originally had great opportunity for interoperating with MARCS and the state, using Premier CAD, but that promise wasn't really necessarily kept. No local agencies came onto it because the beauty is, there's local or regional CAD systems that are out there that that your neighbors use, and knowing what units are available not only in your county but the adjacent county is huge, especially if you had a big event such as a plane crash or a hazmat situation.
So we can't see any surrounding agencies outside of Clermont County what units are available. So it takes time from our responders because we'll have to call to those counties and ask for the unit. They usually have to put you on hold and hold on, let me check. And so the idea of it, like Tommy said, was to be able to see all of that. But there are other softwares out there, computer-aided dispatches out there that do offer that. Call handling solution, that was our 911 phone system, which is completely separate in the county from the county desk phones. We currently use Motorola Emergency Call Works. Our contract with them ends May 31st of 2029, and Motorola is also looking to end Emergency Call Works. So we will need to look for a phone system that is NG911 compliant and have it in place by June 1st of 2029. We have to be compliant with NG 901 by 2030, or we lose our wireless funding from the state of Ohio. So we have to have all of this in place by 2030. The CAD and phone system will need to be 2 different projects. However, these projects will have to work together because the phone has to be able to send the CAD information and the CAD has to be able to accept that information. Both are estimated to be over $1 million per project and at least 18 months from the beginning contract signing to go live. So our next step here today is to have the Board of County Commissioners. We've prepared an amendment to the current contract with Federal Engineering. So if you'd like to consider an amendment to that, to have them come on board with us to help with the procurement, implementation, and specs for the microwave system. So that's a really big project that there's a lot to it that we don't want to mess up. Federal Engineering is would provide a pre-bid meeting, site walks, proposal reviews, and recommendations, and allow us to have them on board for support during implementation, make sure everything goes right. Because again, the radios are the lifelines of the first responders. If they don't have radio communications, it's not good. Any questions for us, for Federal Engineering while they're here?
Let's talk about the big piece. Many counties are dealing with these same kind of upgrades and everything. It seems that all of this equipment and these upgrades and the technology that's available looks like every 6 or 10 years.
Yeah, you do need some. This equipment is it uses, the IT components such as routers, switches, and hubs. If you look at the replacements that you have to do in your data center, that life cycle is going to be very similar, if not the same. And that you're changing your routers, your switches every 5 years or so, your servers. And the problem is also cybersecurity is huge. And you want to make sure the equipment that you put in is compliant, not only with latest cybersecurity standards, making sure that the protections are there so that you don't get hacked in the middle of the night.
And here's what I would just throw out here as a start reality. We as a county can't do this every 6 to 10 years. There is no way that our general fund will provide these kind of funds for capital expenditures on that kind of interval. The problem with that is there's 88 counties here in Ohio and theirs won't either. So that leaves us at a situation of, is it possible to upgrade these systems to where we spend the money and it's more money, but we don't do this every 6 to 10 years? Because, frankly, this particular scope of work has hit this board kind of cold, right off the bat into reality of what it is going to cost. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing or hold up or, any of that kind of stuff, but it just has to be looked at for that, because we can't do that. The proprietary information that's being provided here by Motorola, somebody in the state's got to step forward and take that proprietary information away and say, hey, we need other options to go out to get best pricing options to be able to do these kind of upgrades, because, we could afford it this time, but the next time that capital expenditure is not going to be there to be able to do that. So us investing in something that's only going to last 6 to 10 years at this kind of cost, to do it again in 6 to 10 years isn't going to work for us. And that makes it difficult.
I totally understand. I spent 16 years working with the state of Michigan system, and definitely the same complaints, but over a larger scope. It was like the state system. But the thing that's promising is, first off, you chose a P25 Project 25 system, which is open standards, meaning that your mobiles, your portables, you can get a Harris, you can get a Motorola, you can get a Kenwood, EF Johnson. There's some choices that are out there. When you get competition in the marketplace, that does bring costs down. Secondly, as Jessie mentioned in her presentation, that one of the plans with Motorola and the prime site out there is to go and employ virtualization within the infrastructure, which is going to go and reduce the cost of hardware. Your software costs are going to be the same, your licensing costs are going to be the same, but it would require less hardware, less servers. You would still have some networking equipment involved.
Mhm.
Travis, I know you're on the call. Do you have any further comments?
Sure, I do. So when we talked about your current ambient microwave equipment, and has a shorter overall lifespan. And what we're going out to propose, which would be a public safety grade microwave radio system. These microwave radio systems that you would purchase through a competitive procurement will last you at least 10 years. Okay, so these are 10 to 15 years versus 6 years. So and the other thing about it is that the public safety grade microwave systems will have antenna equipment on the towers that are much more durable than the ambient, what I call like the pizza boxes, like the square type dishes that you see on those towers. So not only is your outdoor equipment hardened, I'll call it, and public safety grade, but your equipment in the racks that are in the shelters at tower sites have a longer lifespan, a longer longevity. So that's kind of where we go. I mean, the Condium is almost a consumer grade type product, whereas what you would be purchasing now is going to be, like I mentioned, public safety grade.
Yeah, and that's one thing is, federal engineering is we are going to be committed to get you the longest life cycle that you can for the equipment that you go and get.
In just a comment that the state wants us, to upgrade and they want us all to be Marks users. But again, it's another mandate that's unfunded, to where the county has to go out for these kind of expenditures, and I have to ask you, what children wait over at DJFS when we pull this money to put microwaves in that we can't fund, the things that we need to do for the health and safety of our residents. This is a tough decision for us, So with that, unless someone else has a question or a comment.
Will there be stock available when things break instead of waiting like Mars has us and the parts are delayed and old and we can't get them in?
Yes, we would make sure that, within our in the proposal that you receive for the microwave, there will be a spare stock.
Okay.
And make sure.
Yeah, we have time to repair, which is the average time to repair and restore requirements in the specs that the vendors
Right.
must adhere to. We also have, we put a time frame on the equipment and parts that must be valid for a number of years. So we require the vendor to support the equipment that they're installing for 10 years. So that's another aspect of it, is that you don't get the consumer grade stuff. So this is an investment. We get that. It's a lot of money. But it is supporting, you have to remember what all of it supports. It supports your backbone, your communications across the county and with other counties.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is, those
But it
responders.
will last you, and it does provide money for the buck.
And you want to make sure the responders out there, can go and, if they're responding to a domestic in the middle of the night, that they've got good communications with dispatch. In order to do that, you've got to have the infrastructure.
Right. And the only question that I would throw out there is tell me what the equipment is that I can pay more money for, that I can get 30 years worth of work out of. Is this where I spend $5.5 million and I get 10 years, but if I spent $7.5 million, I could get 30. That's what I want to know.
Is there
Because-
equipment like that?
There's a long-term investment here.
I would, just in my short time in this industry.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's like with anything that's IT related, like your iPhone or smartphone, there are no more 30-year investments in electronics. That's just the way it is. So,
I appreciate the answer, but I don't buy it.
Well,
I'm
back-
just telling you what the industry, it's just like, people don't drive a car typically 30 years anymore either. It's just the way of the world. So I understand your frustration.
Thank you.
So,
We will definitely take that into account and, get
Sure.
your best life cycle that we can, out of the RFP, the proposal. 30 years these days, currently in 2025, though, it's just.
I understood. I use that just to give a description. I realize 30 years would be a long time. I get that. But by the same token, we want to make the best investment that we can for that longevity. And once they're finished doing this install and we've spent this money, This falls back and reverts right to us to maintain and to pay for whoever that proprietary installer is, whether that's Johnson or that's Motorola or one of them. So, that's another huge cost for us.
And I can tell you a nearby county, I should say, recently did a huge upgrade to their microwave system facing the same upgrades that we have, and they just had to spend another $1 million.
There you go.
So I don't know that, again, in my short time as a director, everything that it's like, man, we just got that. Why is it already dead? The radio that I brought up today
Right.
is not even 10 years old, and they're already saying it's obsolete.
So look, if I put a new roof on, I can buy a 10-year bonded roof. Can I buy a 20-year bonded system? 15-year bonded system?
I think that Travis might be able to answer that question better than I can, but I think 15 years might be a little tough in this day and age.
Okay.
Yeah, I think about 15 years, 20 with maintenance, is probably as far as you're gonna be able to go with something like this.
But the beauty is the CAN wasn't necessarily a public safety grade system, whereas we would be getting you one that is public safety grade. It's not going to fail as much, and it is going to have a longer life cycle.
And I think staying on top of making sure all the equipment in the tower sites is upgraded, our maintenance is, we really get a good understanding of how often we should be upgrading them, doing the software updates, the hardware updates. I think overall, it sounds like more money, but I think overall it would save us in the long run to make sure that stuff stays up.
And Jess, I just want you to, get the best system you can.
Absolutely. Oh, and
money
that's my
to
goal too.
Okay.
I don't want another system like kind of brought up where we have to wait, and then
Right.
I don't know when this microwave link is going to be fixed because this stuff is so old.
Yeah, and I'm local. I just live across the river, and I want to make sure that Clermont County gets the best system.
Well, since we have that dispatch system, we'll be able to get right to your house.
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah.
are you in Campbell County by any
I'm
chance?
in Boone County.
Oh, okay. Well, you still can connect from Moscow in the meantime for us, right?
Well,
We got
We'll
that.
have you right on the cats.
Yeah. Get on a boat, cross the
And we
river.
won't have to triangulate your location. We'll have it right.
You'll be fine.
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
I do
Commission-
want to add one other thing, is that the public safety grade microwave network will also provide you with a next generation capability to support what we call IoT, Internet of Things. So as things get more intelligent, as it's more connected network, both things that are on the ground, in the air, wherever, you're going to have the bandwidth and the capabilities to be able to transport additional data over this network. So you're not going to be strapped for bandwidth. So considering the county's IT environment, the ecosystem of where you're going, it does provide you with I call it a future-proof, solution as well.
So just to piggyback on Commissioner Painter's point, what does a life cycle guarantee mean to us?
Mhm.
When you say 10 to 15 years, how is that guaranteed? So that after 10 years, and it's supposed to be 15, someone's not coming back and saying the equipment is obsolete, and now you have to go out for RFP again. I think that's part of his question is, how do you guarantee that 15 years?
Travis, I know that may be a good
Well,
question.
it's included in the RFP that you issue, that the vendors will respond to, and it becomes part of their contract with the county. But that's the guarantee, is a contractual obligation.
So there will be upgrades available to us throughout that life cycle.
Yes. You will not only get upgraded.
Right, one of the things we require them to provide as part of the proposal response is they cost proposal to you for the amount of the duration of the life
Yeah.
cycle of the system, so you know on day one when you're signing up what it's gonna cost you.
Okay, so if there's an
So
upgrade, if
support.
there's an upgrade during the life cycle, I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. If there's an upgrade after year 7, we're not paying for that upgrade.
Yeah, what you would include within the RFP.
It will be included in your annual operational cost for it, so no, it will not be an additional cost.
Okay.
Yeah, software subscription agreements usually included.
Okay.
But as Travis said, this could be challenging though. If you were to put a 15-year guaranteed life cycle within that RFP, you may not get as many responders if you would, if you put like a 10. But the other side of it is you're going to get 15 years of it. It's something that, we have to go and look at and make considerations.
Well, thank you. Thanks for being here today. Lester, any other further questions? Good?
If
Thank
you have any additional questions, I mean, Jesse knows how to get a hold of me. Like I said, I'm local, so.
Okay.
So Jesse, how long's my radio gonna last that you brought me today?
I don't know.
I don't know. Before it needs an upgrade.
We can call Motorola and ask what.
There you go. There you go. Thank you. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you.
Next up, we have a presentation from Garmin Miller, the Filliger Phase 2 Improvement Project, and some revised renderings. So, see, we just came off of those $1 million upgrades. Now we're going to talk about $12 million upgrade. Okay,
Just- We spent the money, there's nothing left.
we're done.
You got
Yeah.
the printing press ready?
Yeah, you should have gone first. Thanks for being here. Tell us who you are.
Good afternoon. I'm Eric Smeezing with Garmin Miller, architect.
I'm Mandy Camp with Carmen Miller, architect as well.
All right, and just as a quick recap to the Phase 2 and Phase 3 project on East Filliger Road. Last month we were here, we discussed the existing building materials of some of the other buildings in the area, and then what we were proposing for the new buildings. And this is the existing sheriff building, again, next to our site. And then this was the brick that was proposed to match the sheriff's building. And out of that discussion last month, we were asked to look into a couple different materials and look at a couple different design options for the buildings. So that's what we will be showing today. So the first option keeps the building materials in the same locations, but with this option, the roof and vertical metal panel on the sides is more of a taupe or kind of a beige color.
We also switched out the windows. Originally, we had the dark bronze finish for the metal on the windows and storefronts, and we changed that to a clear anodized.
Because this is the front entrance of the management building and county engineer. Just walking around the building a little bit. And then this is the back parking lot view of that same building. This is the Phase 2 portion of the project. And then after some discussions with the Clermont County team on, are there any other options we can look at? So the next two options are really just kind of, again, playing around with the materials. So here we have kind of a lighter brick for a wainscot around the base of the building. And then taking that light brick and using that as an accent on the front two gable areas, the front entrance, and then that conference room area. And then changing the roof to a light gray, along with the fascia, gutters, and vertical metal panel on the side. Moving around the building, that would be the front entrance. You'll see with these two schemes, bringing that brick kind of above the bearing line around the building, some locations. And then the final option, you can see here how that metal panel, again, that the truss bearing line is kind of where the brick went up to before. So with the third option, talking with our structural engineer, we would have to get that incorporated into the drawings. But it is possible that the brick could extend up into the gables. So here, so you see that red brick, keeping that the bottom light brick wainscot, but then that red brick would continue up. That's it for the options.
We're going to use like this to cycle back through to take the look at.
Show the taupe again.
Yep. And then what we approve or like on this version would also be applied to the Phase 3 CTC building so that those buildings could match.
Would you like,
But-
Jeremy?
I'm kind of indifferent on these. If we're kind of down to these two choices, I kind of like the gray.
Do you?
Yeah. But again, I'm not real strong either way on either one.
This one? Is this the one you
What's the
like?
cost difference of doing it one way or doing it another?
Oh,
Over the taupe?
So the,
I think it would be a little bit more cost if bringing the brick up through the gables.
Okay,
But, you know, you also have a flashing transition then with the metal painting and the brick, so.
Jeremy, don't you think the lighter roof though is going to show more dirt than the darker?
It could. There are trees across the street. There aren't any right immediately next to the building.
are you going to power wash it for us? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think that's why facilities is the other half.
I gotcha.
Oh,
I knew they were going to get nailed in this one.
I think the question was asked
Yeah.
by Commissioner Corcoran, but I think a very important question is what are the difference in the costs here? Knowing what the budget is currently, every little bit counts. So is there a difference in the quality, how long it's going to last, and the cost to each one of these options?
well, don't you, if you do that all brick's going to be more than this, right? Anytime you put brick on,
But it would have a longer lifespan.
yeah.
But
Yeah, the only
I'd like to
difference
have a
is-
cost. Go ahead.
No, the only difference is that, you know, anytime you're deadheading a, you know, piece of flashing against a wall like that, it's not going to be as durable as having the brick all the way up to the gables.
What's the safety issue too on the ground? Putting, like in that picture, is there any difference in safety issue of somebody driving into the building? I mean, I think, you know,
No, because that was just really a color change. So in the first option, we have brick below that
yeah,
cast stone sill. And then in the next one, it's just changing that brick color below the cast stone sill to a light.
okay, all right. And what are we doing? Tom, do you know what we're doing on the windows in these, like
And
different options of what we put in the windows? The cost?
You mean as far as if they're laminated glazing or?
Yeah. Or ballistic or anything?
So I'll get to the laminated, but so all of the windows in the building have a slight reflective
Okay.
tint to it.
All right,
So people outside won't be able to
And look-
see in very well.
Yeah.
Right? But you can still see out.
correct.
So we looked at that from a safety
Mhm.
concern. And then we do have laminated glass, and the reception windows are, I believe, level 3 ballistic rated.
Okay, good.
So,
Good.
yeah, safety's involved in that front entrance area. And then we also have Kevlar backed walls in those reception areas. So again, if
Good.
someone would shoot at the wall or the glass, the people behind that would be protected.
Good. Thank you.
I do like the lighter color around the windows. I think it's gonna feel
Yes.
lighter.
Yeah.
So you like the lighter color around the windows with the,
With either option.
with either option, with either the darker roof or the lighter roof? You know,
The only thing I would like to have is a cost difference. You know, what is it really going to be?
Taking the brick all the way up the gables and.
Yeah.
keeping it up.
right now, when I look at it, if I were picking one, I would pick the very first one. I like the first one. The taupe roof and the lighter windows.
Yeah.
That's the one I
Sorry,
like.
Jeremy, I don't like the light roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the vertical siding and, you know, and then I'd like to see what an option would be for running the brick up to the gables. That would be it.
Yeah.
But I like that vertical siding look, and
Yeah,
I like how each set of vertical siding matches the next, you know.
I think it'll stay cleaner looking
Yeah, I think
longer.
that's cool.
All right.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here today. Just remember, if you put any carpet in, we're not getting, what was it called?
Sparkle blue.
Sparkle. Nice sparkle.
Yeah.
No sparkle.
What was it? Midnight?
Midnight.
Midnight
Midnight Sparkle. Is that what it was?
Midnight
Midnight
sparkle. How could
Every
we
time
forget?
goes-
You're
with that.
never going to forget that.
We say we don't do sparkle. That's what
Look
it
at
was.
Tom. Tom's lost it.
Tom has it in his house. That's
How much you want, Dottie?
What's all I want?
Well, hello, Dottie. What do we got?
I'm waiting for my assistant directors to
Oh,
come
yeah.
up first. I would like for,
Listen, wait a minute.
I
Wait a minute.
was
Wait a
here
minute.
all by myself.
You have to sit back down and then be called on by the, we're glad you're here.
She's anxious.
We have another presentation today. It's Dorothy Meyer. We call her Dottie. She's the director of Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services about a children's services levy. She has her support folks here today. Tell us who you are and introduce your.
We have with us today the DJFS fiscal director, who's Tim Dick, who's present with us today. And we also have the Children's Services Director, Ann Gross, is also present with us today. Thank you so much, commissioners, for giving us this opportunity to address this issue and talk with you in regards to the future of Children's Protective Services and the funding for Children's Protective Services, and also have an opportunity to go over, what we have been doing, what we are doing, and what we hope to do in the future as well. It was just a few weeks ago that I was here before you in recognition of Child Abuse Awareness Month, and the proclamation served as a reminder that protecting children is a responsibility that we all share in the community. Protecting children and providing services to families to strengthen families and secure futures is work that the Department of Job and Family Services and Children's Protective Services specifically engage in. We're here today to talk about the work we do, why we do it, the funding that allows us to do that work, and also the fiscal needs that we may have in order to continue to do that type of work. They gave me a lot of jobs up here. I have to flip pages, I have to hit buttons. So the first slide is really, why do we have a Children's Protective Services in Clermont County? Well, the short answer is because protection of children is a core government duty. It's not only a duty, but it's morality needed, or morally needed. We have an ethical obligation, and as humans, we have an obligation to protect children. But we also have a legal obligation to provide that service. Ohio law mandates that every county has public children's service agencies to investigate child abuse, neglect, and dependency. The strategy behind this law is not just that it mandates that the agency exists, but also to ensure that there's a local response for children in need. Having a local response ensures a faster response and a more personalized response. Having a local CPS also allows for coordination with local community services and providers such as schools, law enforcement, and courts. Every county is unique in its needs and responses, and having a local CPS allows for that specialized knowledge of the community to help children and families in need right here in Clermont County. So knowing why we have a Children's Protective Services in our county is important, but we also need to know what it is that CPS is doing in Clermont County. As you can see from the slide, CPS strives to protect children, strengthen families, while also promoting permanence and well-being for those children and families through compassion, collaboration in the community, and supportive services. It's not our job to necessarily take over or interfere in the family's life, but we need to make sure that we are ensuring protective and healthy environments, but also to strengthen and build up towards self-sufficiency and family health within all the families in Clermont County. Our dedicated CPS workers accomplish this work through the investigation of those allegations of abuse, neglect, and dependency. We also provide education, treatment, and services. We assess and work with families to identify their needs and engage in resources to strengthen those families for safety. For those children and families that reunification is not found to be possible because of conditions beyond that child's control, our staff find forever families so that child can have permanency in a loving and healthy environment. So we mentioned that in part of our duty, we have to do the investigation of abuse and neglect and dependency in Clermont County. So we want to talk first about abuse. It comes in all forms. As you can see from the presentation, we have physical, sexual, emotional, and neglect by caregivers. Children deserve to live in an environment free from abuse. First, what happens is that an individual in Clermont County that suspects a child is the victim of abuse or neglect, they call that 513-732-STOP number. That is to reach our intake division in CPS. In 2024, CPS investigated 1,332 cases where abuse, neglect, or dependency was alleged. Of those cases, 71 children had to be removed through emergency procedures. 87 children had to be placed in a safer environment. That's also with taken into consideration that already in January of 2024, we already had 204 children that were involved in children's services. So this is just an overview of why our staff is working so hard to eradicate child abuse and neglect, or to intervene in a more effective manner. It's more than just an moral obligation. The blight of abuse affects every level of our community and places a financial strain on the resources of the community. Child abuse, neglect, and dependency cases impact every level of community and interaction. Our efforts through CPS to shelter and protect those that are harmed are what we engage in through reactionary behavior. What happens is that we get that call, our workers have to then respond. We have to intervene, sometimes remove children to put them in a safer position. That's reactionary. Then we are involved in the family. We have to provide services. We try to reunify those families and put them in a better position than when we found them, in at least a healthier and safer position than when we found them. But then we also, if we can't reunify those children with the family, then we have to find a more stable environment for them and a caring environment where they can grow and flourish. That's the reactionary portion of our jobs. But in addition to that, CPS has a further obligation in the county to help put services in place to stop that behavior from happening in the first place. And that's just part of the work that we do in order to help the community be safer for our children and our families. So this is a list. These are all the things that we do. We currently have approximately 188 children in the agency's care. As you know, that pretty much changes daily. That number does. But these are children that have been placed outside the home. We have more than 412 children each month that we're involved in that are living with family or guardians in some way that we also work with. It's not just the children that are removed from their home, it's children that have been found in situations, and then we're helping to build up that family. These are just a snippet of the amount of services that are provided by CPS for the community. Enlisting, and I don't want to take everybody's time with reviewing all of them when everybody here is capable of seeing what's on the slide. But this is just some of the things that we do for the community in Clermont County. So now that we've reviewed all the different types of services that CPS provides and why we have a CPS, we need to talk about how do we fund the services that we give in Clermont County. As you can see, the funding from Children's Services is split between state, federal, and the levy. For some reason, the Y is gone from levy. I know how to spell. Really, truly, I do. It was on there yesterday. So we have our funding comes about 45% of our funding for Job and Family Services and for CPS specifically comes from the state. We have about 25% from the federal government. That's provided to us. And then we have the levy, which is really one of the primary sources of funding for CPS in order for us to engage in the protection of children and for the placement of children. As you can see, according to the Ohio Revised Code, a CPS levy is for the support of children's services and the care and placement of children, which is what every dollar of the levy goes to. The original levy was approved in May of 2006. That's what the the property values are what the levy was based on. It was originally approved as a 0.8 mil levy. Because of the change and the passing of time and the increase of property values, our current effective millage for our levy as we stand today is 0.46 mils. So it's not bringing in as much as it would be anticipated if we had it based off the current property values. So, what does placement, when we're talking about now, what is our current situation when we're dealing with funding and with cost for Children's Protective Services? As you can see, we looked at and we wanted to bring forth what the figures were over the life of this current levy. We stood before you back, and my predecessor stood before you back in 2020 and asking for a renewal of this levy. Since that was in 2020. We're now looking, we're of course in 2025, but we have the figures and can capture the figures through the end of 2024. As you can see, over the life of the levy that we have currently, our placement costs have increased 63% over the life of the levy. We faced a $1.365 million deficit in covering placement costs in 2024 because of the increase. This is not just a Clermont County. This isn't just us picking really expensive homes to place children in. This is a statewide trend. Unfortunately, when we don't have local foster homes to place individuals in, and please, if you're interested in being a foster in a local community, please contact CPS because there's needs for loving homes for children to be placed in locally. But that is the most economically, I think, feasible way for us to place children, and it's a way for us to place children that is helpful to them because they get to stay locally. It's easier to arrange visits and reunification when they're placed locally. But unfortunately, that's not the majority of our placements. We have to find private agencies to place children in, and the cost is increasing for those private agencies. For some children, their need is too great. They have to go into either a group home or into a residential facility. And we have to find a placement that's best for the child, that's safest and meets their needs. And if that means that we have to pay $1,200 a day for a child to be placed in the best place that they can be placed, then that's what we have to pay. So this is a statewide trend. This is something where the federal government places a cap on what they are willing to reimburse us for placement. But the agencies that we have to place with, the homes that we have to place with, they're not limited to that cap. They can charge really whatever they want. And it's a situation where a lot of different counties are fighting for the same placements. And so they can charge whatever they want. We have no way of controlling that. We just have to meet the need.
And when we talk about the statewide trend of the increased costs, part of that is attributable to the fact that there's a statewide placement crisis. There are not enough homes for all the children in the state of Ohio.
That's true.
So it takes sort of the ball out of our court because these people know they need their homes. And it's not just homes, it's residential facilities and group homes. So the increase in the cost of placement is directly attributable to the fact that there is a statewide placement crisis.
And there has been some movement in the legislature about that to try to limit those particular costs or to make them more competitive.
There is a pending bill, but there is quite right now a lot of pushback. It has not passed.
Right. There has been a lot of pushback.
I will tell you that this governor has been supportive of children's services. When you look at state funding, this governor has increased the amount of. Ohio used to be the 49th state in the amount of money that they provided to children's services, and this governor has changed that. It hasn't gone up a whole lot, but he has significantly increased that. So we do have that part, but this placement crisis is something that every county in the state of Ohio is struggling with.
Yep.
And it's a pushback, as you said, sir. There is a push to have those limited, but then they feel that the people that are pushing back on that, the agencies that are pushing back, it's about freedom, and it's about having the capability of earning and charging what you want. So that's a huge clash, and it's a fundamental clash, and it's one that we see no resolution in sight. So in order for us to provide the services that we need, we have to plan as if that's not going to change, and the current trend that exists, that has existed over the last year or longer, is going to continue. So this is where we are currently. This is what we have experienced over the life of the current levy. And then, as you can see, so what does the future look like for CPS? Our ability to provide services and improve services over the next levy cycle is going to be dependent upon what we have experienced during this levy cycle and what do we foresee or project over the next levy cycle. So we have in the first quarter of just this year, we have already seen a increase over the first quarter that existed in 2024. So if you remember from the last slide, we saw a 63% increase over the course of our levy period so far. And now just in the first quarter of placements, we've already, in 2025 compared to 2024, we've already seen another increase in regards to cost for placements. So the projected cost for placement costs. Now, this obviously is not it's not an exact science. We have to go off of trends, and we have to go off of what we've experienced and what we see so far this year. But the projected placement cost for 2025, based on the trend, is over $5.6 million. That's an increase over 2024 actuals, where, if you remember from a previous slide, we had over $1.3 million deficit in regards to what we had planned versus what we had to actually spend and what was received in funding to cover that, including the levy. And so what we are looking at when we're talking about what we're going to do in the future and what we can do to cover that deficit is look at potential levy options, because as you saw, the levy is 30% of our funding and is primarily responsible in regards to the placement of children and the care of children and the working of children's services. So the renewal is obviously an option that will keep things the way that they are, status quo. And as things were shown last year, there's going to be a deficit that has to be covered. That would be not sufficient in the projected 5-year levy term that's upcoming, that would not be able to cover the expected expenses that's coming up in the next 5 years over the levy term. So then the next option would be a renewal plus a 2% increase. Now, that would mean an additional a little over $1.3 million. As you can see, if you compare it with the deficit we had last year in our placement costs and what we are asking for, this still doesn't cover it, but it is still going to be help to mitigate what that deficit is going to have and what we anticipate. That looks like a $7 more per 100,000 would be the increase in regards to that for a renewal plus a 2 increase. Now, another option is a replacement levy. That's an additional a little over $1.9 million. That would cover the projected deficit and potential placement crisis over the life of the levy. However, that would mean $11.67 more per 100,000. Another option would be a replacement levy plus that 2% increase. Now, that's capturing the current, as you're the experts in this, so you know this, but this would capture the current property values that are not being captured because of our levy only being a 0.46 now instead of 0.8. But a replacement levy plus a 2 increase would be an additional over $3.3 million. This would enable CPS to not only cover the projected deficit, but would also allow us to expand placement services and also services provided to families in the county. However, that's an $18.67 increase per 100,000. So based on this, and as you can see, we are asking for the opportunity to go to run a levy for a renewal plus 2% increase. We're doing that with the understanding and the knowledge that this is not going to completely cover our expected deficit in regards to placement costs. But we're trying to make a recommendation that's reasonable and rational given the understanding of the current economic situation, with taking into consideration the reality of our need and what the next levy cycle looks like. The increase will mitigate the deficit that's going to be faced by CPS. It will not eradicate it. However, we will utilize any reserves that we do have and also make program adaptations to cover any deficits over that may result as a result of increasing costs to be able to meet any of those deficits. And that will enable us to be able to continue operating at the level, hopefully be able to make some program adaptations over the next levy cycle. Because it can't be just about what is our situation right this second. We have to look at the next year and a half, which is the current levy, and then the next 5 years after a new levy. So we really appreciate you taking the opportunity to allow us to do this presentation. I don't know if the commissioners have any questions. I've obviously brought my gurus with me. They're the ones who can help me answer questions if I'm not able to. But we really appreciate this opportunity.
I don't know if you covered it, but I know just from the Family and Children First Council and all the great work that Children's Services does out there. How many children do we actually have there outside the state of Ohio or way up in different areas? Just approximately.
Approximately, I'm going to say about 4 or 5. They are currently in that is in facilities. So
Right.
I do have some children who are placed through what we call ICPC, which is the Interstate Compact, where there may be a relative that lives outside of the state. So they would be placed in a home-like setting. But we would be looking at about 4 to 5 who would be placed outside of the state in what are called PRTFs, which is a psychiatric residential treatment facility. Those create problems for us because they are funded through Ohio Rise, but the problem is they're often very far away. The transition is hard, and stepping down a youth from a psychiatric residential treatment facility and then driving them or flying them 12 hours back and then stepping them into a foster home with no transition is not ideal.
That's not.
There are only 3 PRTF, psychiatric residential treatment facilities in the state of Ohio. And one of them, we did have a child placed there, and I would not personally place a child there again. They didn't follow the rules. They don't provide good supervision, and I have concerns with that particular facility. But that does create a problem with those kids. But I have several right now. I have 2 right now that qualify for a PRTF, and I can't find a place that can take them. One is in Children's Hospital, has been there for months, and I don't know that I'm ever going to find a placement for her because of her significant mental health issues.
And the sad part is, as you brought up through all of this, and I know the needs and the fund and the wonderful work that Children's Services does, but on top of that, it's reaching out to people to become foster parents. You know, and I know it's tough taking care of that child and then giving them back to somebody, but when you get that family reunited, no matter what,
There are a lot of foster parents who do a really excellent job
of
working with
birth
families. And that is such a benefit to these children.
Yes, it is.
Because then they have both supports. And the other benefit to that is when they do reunify with their families, they've got other eyes on them and they continue to have that. And if the parents have questions and have established that relationship with foster parents, and we do have a lot of foster parents who do that. One other thing, we are doing a pilot project with 2 other counties. With Butler County and with Montgomery County to do a treatment foster care program that we would supervise.
I'd love it.
And that would be a big part of that program. And we're focusing on these kind of 10 to 13-year-old kids that shouldn't have to go into a group home setting, but we aren't able to find placements for. So it would be, lower numbers of kids, tons of support, and the 3 counties together would work on that and be able to place all of our kids and hope to have homes in each one of the counties.
Yes. Thank you for the great work.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you again for the opportunity. to come
Thank
talk.
you.
Thanks for everything you
Thank
do.
We appreciate it.
You bet. Moving on with our regular agenda, we are at letter D. Letter D is public participation. Is there anyone here today that would like to participate from the public, like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll close public participation, move to letter E. Letter E is consent agenda. Board, you have had a consent agenda prepared for you. You've had it early and had the opportunity to review it. Are there any items that need to be withdrawn from the non-consent agenda, and I mean the consent agenda for further consideration? None? Hearing none, and ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we'll move on to letter F. Letter F is the non-consent agenda. Non-consent starts on page 4 with item number 10. Item 10 is recommendation that the Board of County Commissioners adopt resolution number 057-25 to approve payment to vendors in the total amount of $2,379,846.35, as outlined in the BCC approval invoice reports for checks dated May 21st, 2025. BCC directed prepaid invoice reports and the procurement card transaction report is presented by the county auditor on May 19th, 2025, and further authorizing the county auditor to issue warrants to and in compliance with section 319.16 of the Ohio Revised Code. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Then moved and second. Roll call.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Item number 11, Job and Family Services. Hi, Dottie. That's all right.
Coming back.
Dottie Meyer on behalf of the Clermont County Job and Family Services. This is a recommendation to authorize the execution of the local workforce development system subgrant agreement by and among the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services and local area 12 representatives. That includes Butler, Clermont, and Warren County commissioners who are subgrantees, who are the chief elected offices of the local area 12, the local Workforce Development Board for Local Area 12, and the Warren County Board of Commissioners as the fiscal agent for the Local Area 12. By Clermont County Commissioner Claire Corcoran in her capacity of Clermont County's representative on the Area 12 Chief Elected Official Consortium. With said sub-agreement to define the roles and responsibilities of said parties, as well as to identify the terms, conditions, and requirements for the administration and use of the subgrant funds allocated to Local Area 12 by ODJFS for the administration of the workforce development activities for the period of 7/1 of 25 through 6/30 of 2027 for a total subgrant agreement amount not to exceed the amount specified in the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services allocation letters in accordance with the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, that's WIOA, and authorizing federal statutes and the funding agreements for each funding source authorized under the subgrant agreement pursuant to the terms and conditions and in accordance with the section 5101.20 of the Ohio Revised Code. This is for our OMJ program that we run that helps individuals find work and training in Clermont County.
Great program.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 11. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
And I will second. Any further conversation, discussion? Roll call again.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Abstain.
Item number 12, Dottie.
This is the recommendation to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Department of Job and Family Services, Children's Protective Services Division, and the Clermont County Family and Children's First Program, whose administrative agent is the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services. It's relative to the reimbursement to FCF for Operational Capacity Building Fund, OCBF, Multi-System Youth, Capacity Fund, and Family-Centered Services and Support expenditures for the state fiscal year 2026, an amount not to exceed $79,651 to support the components of the FCF program, which serve multi-need children and their families in Clermont County, Ohio.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 12. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I will second that motion. Roll call again.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
I'll abstain. I sit on that board also.
Item number 13.
This is the recommendation to authorize Bonnie Bachelor, Vice President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute the participation agreement between Clermont County, Ohio, on behalf of the Clermont County Department of Job and Family Services, the County Commissions Association Service Corporation, and the Ohio CSEA Directors Association regarding the usage of the Clear Services Subscriber Agreement between the CCAO Service Corporation and West Publishing Corporation, a Thomas Ritter's business. It's attached and available for your review under Exhibit A for the provision of an internet-based location data and prison data for individuals in public assistance program, non-custodial parents or relatives for potential adoption placements at the rate as outlined and effective for the period of 6/1 of 25 through 5/31 of 27. That's pursuant to the terms and conditions and contingent upon the release of the required purchase orders.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 13. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
I will abstain.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Item number 14. Item number 14 is Scott Gafford. Scott?
Morning. Afternoon, actually. How are you? Good.
Item 14 is a recommendation to approve the request to advertise for proposals for the creation of a Clermont County Economic Development Strategic Plan pursuant to the specifications contained with the proposal, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, May 29th, 2025, with said proposals to be received until 2 p.m. on Thursday, June 26, 2025, in the office of Clermont County Department of Community and Economic Development, 3rd floor, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, at which time proposals will be opened publicly in a manner that avoids public disclosure of the proposal's contents. However, the names of the proposers or offerers will be read aloud. This notice will also be posted on the Clermont County homepage under legal notices at the county's website.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 14. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I have a second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation, discussion? Scott, many of these economic development proposals, when you go back through the history of Clermont County, were heavily also one of the partners that was used in that was the chamber. And so I was just wondering if that was, if the path forward here is to have this consultant to obviously talk to all of those parties and those kind of things.
Yeah, there's a requirement in the RFP document that they conduct in-person stakeholder sessions open to the public.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, discussion? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, I'm number 15. Thanks, Scott. Jeremy Evans is here. He is our county engineer. Good to have you.
So item 15 is recommendation to execute the Clermont County Agreement 42197 for the 2025 load ratings of Clermont County bridges by and between the Board of County Commissioners, Clermont County, Ohio, and Michael Baker International, Cincinnati, Ohio, for the 2025 County Engineers Association Bridge Load Rating Program, project number VAR-Clermont Bridge Load Ratings, relative to and in compliance with the LPA Bridge Load Rating Agreement, which is PID 122371, whereby the county will engage services of a consultant to perform the services at a maximum amount of $70,300, with ODOT providing reimbursement of $51,647 up to 80%, with services to be completed on or before September 1st, 2025, compliance with the terms and conditions of the agreement.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 15. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, item 16.
16 is a recommendation to execute a roadway maintenance agreement between the Union Township Board of Trustees and the Clermont County Board of Commissioners. relative to the maintenance responsibilities for specified roads within Union Township effective upon the execution of the agreement. This is just kind of a renewal and kind of cleans up and consolidates some agreements and memorandums of understanding that we've had between us and the township over the years. Mostly things like maintenance of islands and Ivy Point and roundabouts, that kind of thing. So.
Absolutely. Board, you've heard the reading of item number 16. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item 17.
All right, 17 is a recommendation to award the bid for project number RS-01-25 relative to the 2025 Road Resurfacing Program Phase 2, located in various townships and municipalities, to John R. Jurgensen of Cincinnati, Ohio, for their lowest and best bid received on 5/1/2025 in the amount of $3,324,971.84, and to execute the contract in compliance with the terms and condition and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order. Our bid estimate on this one was $4.2 million. Obviously, they're well below. About half of the mileage that's being resurfaced here is the other entities that we have agreements with. So I think there are 7 entities, 30 miles total. So about 15 is county road and 15 is everyone else.
Okay. Board, you've heard the reading of item number 17. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Item number 18. Item number 18, Drew?
Hello, Commissioners. Thank you again for having me. This is a recommendation to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in the Clermont Sun on Thursday, May 29th, 2025, to publish the date, time, and location of the public hearing pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 711.101 and 711.10 for an amendment to the Clermont County subdivision regulations. The public hearing will be held on Wednesday, July 9th, 2025 at 10 a.m. local time in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, Ohio. This notice and amendments will also be posted on the Clermont County homepage under legal notices at the link www.clermontcountyohio.gov, along with copies available at the office of the Board of County Commissioners.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 18. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? This particular amendment, is this one to?
This is has to do with the phased permit approvals for the building department.
Right. This was definitely a holdup that was restricting some of the development was in Clermont County. So thanks for getting this, done in a timely manner.
Yeah, happy to.
Appreciate it. Anything else? Roll call, Gil.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Drew. Item number 19.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi.
Good morning.
Morning.
Afternoon, that's right.
Item 19 is recommendation to award the bid and execute the contract for the EMA Center renovation located at 2279 Clermont Center Drive, Batavia, to Kramer and Feldman, 7636 Production Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45237, for the lowest and best bid received on March 27th, 2025, and the total amount of $338,583, with said services to commence upon issuance of a written notice to proceed from the Clermont County Facilities Management Department and to be completed by December 31st, 2025, pursuant to in compliance with the terms and conditions and contingent upon the release of the required purchase order.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 19. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Roll call, Gil.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item number 20.
Item number 20 is the recommendation to approve the request to advertise for bids for the Animal Shelter Outdoor Kennel Expansion 2025 rebid pursuant to the plans and specification, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice into a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, May 29th, 2025, scheduling a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on Thursday, June 5th, 2025 at 10 a.m. local time to be held at the Animal Shelter, 4025 Filiger Road, Batavia, Ohio, with bids to be received until 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, June 26, 2025, in the office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, Ohio, 45103, where they'll be publicly opened, read aloud shortly thereafter. This notice will also be posted at the Clermont County homepage under legal notices.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 20. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
And moved and second. Any further clarification? Roll call again.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Brian.
Commissioners, just a quick comment. The
Sure.
$20,000 donation from Purina that we received
Being used here.
will be used for this project.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
And this includes a de-scoping, right?
Correct.
So we're not going to build as many kennels.
Yeah, it's been reduced about half. Is that correct, Brian? Right.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Item 21.
Good afternoon, Lyle. Bloom,
Afternoon.
Director with Water Resources. Item 21 is a recommendation to execute an extension of contract between Clermont County and Utter Construction Incorporated out of Bethel, Ohio for maintenance and repair of the water and or wastewater systems and appurtenances for the Clermont County Water Resources Department. This is previously ratified by the board on July 31st, 2024, and this will be for an additional one-year period through August 24th, 2026, in compliance with Article 15 of the reference contract, with all other terms and conditions to remain in full force and effect.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 21. Do I have a motion for approval?
Make the motion.
I'll second.
Then moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call again.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, item 22.
Item 22 is a recommendation to approve the request advertised for bids for the BMW treatment plant pump rehabilitation project located in Batavia Township pursuant to the specifications, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in a newspaper of general circulation on Thursday, May 29th, 2025, schedule a non-mandatory pre-bid meeting on June 12th, 2025 at 10 a.m. with bids to be received until 2:00 p.m. local time on Thursday, June 26th, 2025, here in the Office of the Board of County Commissioners, 101 East Main Street, Batavia. Well, they will be publicly open and read aloud, and the notice will also be posted on the county's homepage under legal notices. This is to, they will remove, take this pump back to their shop, rebuild it, and then return it and reinstall it. Our estimate for that work is $150,000.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 22. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I will second.
Been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes, item 23.
Item 23 is a recommendation not to proceed with the Woodville Pike Sewer Petition Project, and this project number 6402-60219 located in Goshen Township, due to the lack of support from property owners for the project, and to authorize the Clermont County Water Resources Department to send notice to the owners of property affected by this project, advising them that the project is no longer active and declaring that all proceedings are discontinued. So this project only benefited two property owners. They had initially petitioned the county after getting, I think, reviewing cost estimates, and then I think there was a change in ownership. There is no longer support for the project.
Okay. Board, you've heard the reading of item number 23. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Lyle. Item 24, Ralph Lenny. Ralph, good to see you.
Ralph Lenny, Assistant County Administrator. As we are getting ready to complete the master agreement study, it came to my attention that we need to have them come and do a presentation to you all, which we have scheduled sometime in June, as well as to provide some additional time for the any questions or comments from you all for them to respond. So as a result, I recommend to authorize Thomas J. Eagle, County Administrator, to execute Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement between the Board of Commissioners of Clermont County, Ohio, Illuminat Incorporated, 110 Sycamore Street, Suite 200, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45202, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on 9/25/2024 for the development of facilities master plan for an extension of the contract for 30 days through June 20th, 2025 at no additional cost to the county, with all other terms and conditions of the reference agreement to remain in full force and effect.
Board, you've heard the reading item number 24. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation?
I just want to apologize for my phone that keeps going off, even though it says it's on silent mode. Apologize. Right in the middle of your speaking. Go ahead.
Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Item 25, Gail. Thanks, Ralph.
This is a recommendation to adopt resolution number 058-25, resolving to endorse the 2022 Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy prepared by the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission and resolving to authorize the County of Clermont, Ohio, to participate in the OVRDC Commission for fiscal year 2026 and to remit the sum of $42,825, which represents the participatory share of funding from the County of Clermont on or after January 1st, 2026, and further resolving to support the Ohio Valley Regional Development Commission's Economic Development District Planning Partnership Investment Grant Program with the United States Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration for planning grant funds for the annual performance period of 1/1/2026 through 12/31/2026.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 25. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
And I'll second. Anything further? Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor?
I will abstain. I sit on the board.
Okay. Item number 26, Emily, OMB.
Morning, Board.
Morning.
I have a recommendation to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in the Cincinnati Enquirer on Wednesday, May 28, 2025, as well as to post the legal notice on the Clermont County website to acknowledge public notice to eligible institutions that the Board of County Commissioners will be accepting applications for the designation of public depositories for active funds of Clermont County, which the county treasurer has estimated not to exceed the daily aggregate amount of $220 million for the period August 24, 2025 through August 23, 2029, inclusive pursuant to Section 135.33A of the Ohio Revised Code. Applications for deposit of public monies are to be received in the office of the Board of County Commissioners on 101 East Main Street until 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, June 26, 2025, with the award on or about Wednesday, July 16, 2025. And I will note that we did get this estimate from Treasurer Zermely, which has gone up for $200 million for this current 4-year period we're in right now.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 26. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor?
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thanks, Emily. Item number 27, Jennifer Hartley from the auditor's office downstairs.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hello. Recommendation of Linda L. Fraley, Clermont County Auditor, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, that the Board of County Commissioners resolve to authorize David L. Painter, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to sign the letter of engagement with Julian and Grube Incorporated, an independent public accountant, and as it relates to the annual audit for the County of Clermont County, Ohio, which includes the Clermont County Port Authority, the Clermont County Community Improvement Corporation, and it does also include the Clermont County Reutilization Land Corporation for calendar year 2024 at the rate of $97,500 in concert with the memorandum of agreement by and between Keith Faber, Ohio Auditor of State, Julian and Grube, an independent public accountant, and the Board of County Commissioners, Clermont County, Ohio.
Board, you've heard the reading of item number 27. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? So, Jennifer, this is a request to spend $97,500 so that the state of Ohio can tell us again that the audit of Clermont County, Ohio is clean as a pin, and it is outstanding, and you've been doing it for years. You know, you would think that eventually the state of Ohio would say, you know what, after you've done it for this many years, you get 2 years to,
That would be great, but we have these federal programs.
I know it. You would think with all the cost reductions that they want to do, they would say, well, you know what, you can go a little longer.
No, they don't care
Great.
about us.
Yeah.
I'll let it go. All right.
Well, thank you. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
You're
Thank you
dream-
for being
you're
here.
dreaming, Commissioner.
You bet. I know. We are at letter G, additions to the agenda. Tom, any additions to the agenda today?
I think Mr. Lenny has an addition that he wants the board to consider, so I'll let him quickly summarize it first, and
Okay.
we can go from there.
We will add, I'll ask to add this to the agenda first. It is about a recommendation and amendment for a services agreement between the Board of Commissioners of Clermont County, Ohio and Federal Engineering. Do I have a motion to add this item to the agenda?
I'll make the motion to add.
Okay.
Second.
Been moved and second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we have added it to the agenda, and Ralph, if you would go over it for us, we'd appreciate it.
Yes, as you heard earlier today, a presentation was done by Jessica along with Federal Engineering as to the need to pursue having a request for proposal to go out to secure a vendor to provide improvements to our 911 center. The recommendation is to execute Amendment Number 2 to the service agreement by and between the Board of Commissioners of Clermont County, Ohio, and Federal Engineering, 105060 Arrowhead Drive, Suite 100, Fairfax, Virginia, 22030, previously drafted by the Board of County Commissioners on 8/21/2024 and 12/02/2024 for development of technical specification for the public safety microwave radio system at a rate not to exceed $238,624, identified as Amendment 2 Project, Clermont County, Ohio, Microwave Radio System Procurement Implementation Support, effective on execution through 12/31/2026, with all other terms and conditions to remain in full force and effect.
Board, you've heard the reading of this recommendation for Amendment Number 2 to a services agreement between obviously us and Federal Engineering. To have a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and second. Any further conversation or discussion? Ralph, talk about this a little bit. This is an amendment. How time sensitive is this? I mean, if we as a board looked at this and said, oh, we'd like to think about this another week and really get some more information on it.
You increase the odds of a failure somewhere in the 911 system. And the desire is to get it taken care of as quick as possible, to cut down our risks, to get the best price possible from the vendors when they respond, and to have enough time to evaluate it to come back to the board with the proper recommendation.
So what am I evaluating here? Am I just evaluating that one leg that's out right now and how to fix this, or am I?
You're going out to request a firm to come in and do basically a design build of redoing the system.
The whole system.
The whole system with an estimated value of approximately $5 million.
But I'm going forward with repairing the leg that I have out right now in the microwave system, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right.
That is separate, but that is
No, you're
already.
fine. You're fine, Jess. No.
That's a Moscow, right, connection. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. The whole, yes.
This won't make it. Will this make a $5 million commitment for us right here? Or
No,
this
it does
just makes a 238 commitment?
Basically, they're going out doing a request for proposals. We will get responses from several firms. Based on those responsibles coming back with the Director of Public Safety, along with myself and Federal Engineering, we will do evaluation and a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners whether to proceed or what vendor we should go forward with.
So what do I get for $238,000?
You get a technical document that goes out to try to provide the commissioners with a cost for a guaranteed system to be installed with warranties provided, along with the proper equipment at the public level of a 911 center.
So all this is really, what this is really going to get me is a set of technical specifications. They're going They're going to write these technical specifications, or they're just going out to bid someone to make these technical specifications?
They will write the requirements that we are looking for that basically comes up with what we would call open architecture in the IT world, because most of this is IT areas. It's not a public improvement project. So as such, we can do RFP that's been reviewed and approved by the prosecutor's office. Then we will get the response. Now, this RFP will be technical in describing our system, our needs, and our goals, including the warranty period, as well as the length of time we want the items to be maintained, and see what responses we get.
It may be from my denseness today. We're missing the discussion here. What is federal engineering at Arrowhead Drive going to provide this board for $238,000? What is the deliverable that they give me on this desk?
They will give you a document that if you were a contractor, you would be responding to it to provide a price and the services to replace our backbone system and our antennas.
So is that going to be a full scope of work and a full set of specifications that can be bid?
No. This is going to be a design build response. The specification.
So basically, this is just going to be an RFP.
Yes, sir.
So, okay.
And the problem is with the aging towers and everything that are out there, we're looking for some kind of disaster in the future if we don't do something soon to replace some of this.
Correct. I mean, right now, with the one link down, if we had a storm come through to hit another tower, we're without communication. If we get Moscow back up, we're in the same boat that we are now. If we have another link go down, we have to reach out to Cambium, and it could take months to fix it.
And
We're already behind the 8 ball, unfortunately. So that's why.
And I understand the sense of urgency. I just don't understand who works on this proposal for $238,000. Guys, you can buy a lot of labor for $238,000 when people are typing on a computer, to put a proposal together. I mean, do they employ 7 people to do this for 30 days? Or, I mean, what is?
Valuing their knowledge of what a system would look like, and what, because I don't have.
They actually had the IT inside guts and knowing what and how it goes. How long have we been working with them at this point?
September 24th.
So they've already done an analysis of what they would be able to say, even in the RFP, of what they need, what our problems are. And I believe it's that expertise.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have the scope
Yeah.
of services of the amendment?
No.
Can we?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, you can get that.
Yes.
So my suggestion is to hold
Hold until next.
session. If you can get that information back to the board, we'll come back into session.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe help
Yeah.
answer that question. So the full scope
Later
is
today?
listed. Yes, right after executive session.
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay.
We can take a look at it. If you can get the scope, so he has a clear
Great.
understanding of what the scope of services they're providing. I think that's what the question is.
It is.
Yes.
All right.
That makes sense.
We'll do that.
So you want,
We
so
don't.
we don't do anything.
So
We already
I'll
voted.
accept a motion to table until after executive session.
I'll make the motion to table. How's that? Okay.
I'll second.
It's
Okay.
been moved in second. Roll call.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other additions, Tom?
No, sir. And just a note on executive session, we do not need the word dismissal.
Okay. We're dismissals out. Okay. Letter H, requesting an executive session, section 121.22G1, the Ohio Revised Code, to consider the employment or compensation of a public employee or more public employees. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Batchelor,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran,
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes, we will move to executive session. We will return and we will conduct further business. Thank you for being here today. Return from executive session. There were no decisions made, no actions taken. Prior to moving on here, I just wanted to say that Commissioner Batchelor's been excused from the meeting. She had a previous commitment. We ran a little long and she had to make an exit. So we wish her safe travels. We will move on. We had an addition to agenda, but we had tabled that particular item on the agenda until after executive session. So since we've returned from executive session, we would like to take that. I make a motion to move that item from the table back out into general session. Do you have a second?
I'll make that motion.
Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Painter,
Yes.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
So we currently have an item on the back out in general session for recommendation to execute amendment number 2 to the services agreement by and between the Board of Commissioners of Clermont County and Federal Engineering at 10560 Arrowhead Suite 100 Fairfax, Virginia, previously ratified by the Board of Commissioners on 8/21, and 12/02/24 for the development of technical specifications for the public microwave system. Ralph, will you want to go over it one more time?
Okay. Basically, what this amendment is to provide a means to secure a vendor, to provide the system, the design, and the installation. The RFP would be issued by Federal Engineering within the parameters that was spelled out in the proposal that was received by the Department of Public Services that Jesse was involved in the development of and the review of. And we would like to proceed with the recommendation to execute amendment number 2.
Okay. Then I would ask for a motion to approve the amendment as presented.
Make a motion.
And I will second that motion. Any further conversation or discussion? I would say this, just make sure that you get exactly what you want when it comes to, there's been a lot of discussions here about the longevity of this particular system. Make sure that, they put together an excellent spare parts, reading. Have to keep in mind, many of these components, even though these hardware components may go bad, if you have 2 or 3 of them on hand, that'll make a big difference in the fixing the system for many years after what we would need it. So I would just.
I get what you mean. So we're not
Yep.
waiting like this one, but also I think we have a wonderful IT department and making sure that they can kind of help and guide. And if we have any questions on the longevity or anything, or any of the repairs, and possibly they could help us, even though they don't understand the whole field, believe me. But
We'll include them in the evaluation.
correct. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
And witnessing of the factory, I think testing is one of the big things, and having somebody who understands these programs, because I, for one, do not understand them. I'm not going to pretend that I do. And this is a whole different field. And I think that when you have professionals and they're guiding us, something that is so serious to the component of people being safe in this county, I think we owe it to the citizens to try and get the best people to guide us.
Yeah.
I will say that they have been very educational to me and my staff, to where they've broken it down to us, like this specific piece does this, and you don't get that sometimes from vendors. They're like, well, this piece just does what it needs to do, and just know that you need it. And they have done a great job of helping explain that. So
And we have great confidence in what you and your staff do and your understanding of it. Appreciate it.
thank you very much.
Thank
So with
you.
that, roll
Okay.
call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran.
Yes.
Commissioner Painter.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome.
Have a good one.
We will move on with letter I. Letter I is county staff elected officials discussions. Any county staff that would like to address the board today?
Nothing further.
No elected official discussions. Then how about item J, which is member comments? Any comments on today, Commissioner Corcoran?
No, thank you.
Just obviously wanted to give you a comment there. Many different things happening, when it comes to federal intervention, when looking at path forwards for this nation's ability to compete in a world market. You know, one of the things while I was up at Washington that we got a chance to talk about is we got a chance to talk about what tariffs actually do and how they're used. And that was a pretty informative discussion. You know, I did not realize that the tariff actual path forward is to use those tariffs not only on countries and negotiations to level the playing field, but also on particular items that are actually manufactured. You know, a great example of that was some items tariffs will be lifted of that China provides because they are items that we are not concerned here in America to have manufactured all the time. And plus we demand them at a really cheap price. And they would let them go ahead and manufacture those. However, other items that may be provided would be heavily tariffed until such restrictions in their country lessens to where it could be, you know, a competitive market for the United States. So I just found that really interesting, you know, so just kind of wanted to share that with you. With that, I didn't have any other comments there, and I would ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Roll call, Gail.
Commissioner Corcoran?
Yes.
Commissioner Painter?
Yes. Thank you for being with us today. We stand in adjournment, and we will see you next week. Thank you.